everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Pete, and you've stumbled across my late review of the Steam Deck. Yes, I've had this baby now for about 3 months, and there's been tons and tons of reviews for this Steam Deck. This is the Model 3. This one has the 512 gigabyte internal NVMe drive, and it's got the etch screen, and it was $800, all taxes, shipping included in Canada. So why I waited so long to do a review on this, and I don't do reviews very often on the channel. If you're new to the channel, you'll start noticing that if you stick around, I don't do a lot of reviews. When I do, I spend a substantial amount of time with the console, handheld. And this one, I wanted at least 100 hours. That's my minimum bar with any new hardware, handheld related or retro system or whatever. And I've got hundreds and hundreds of hours with this system. And I think right now I have a really good opinion on this system. So let me set some ground rules to this review. I am reviewing it purely as a handheld device. I'm reviewing it purely as SteamOS and Steam Desktop. I do not use emulation. I am not a fan of emulators. I just don't do that. I'd rather buy games from the appropriate developers. I don't do Windows on this. I've done a few little things in the Steam desktop to get the Blizzard games working, World of Warcraft, but it's primarily handheld device. Now, the intent when I bought this was I don't have a very powerful gaming computer. I do have a computer that can do videos, which is great, video editing, but it's not really, doesn't have a great graphics card on it. It's okay, it's passable. So I said, I'd probably use this. I'll hook up a keyboard and mouse maybe, but no, I didn't do any of that. And I'll get to that in just a minute. So this is the device. Again, Model 3. There's 3 models out there, and I'll get to which ones I'd recommend at the end, just based on my experience with this one. But I must say, the reason I chose this, I do have a bit of a vision impairment and a hearing impairment, and I wanted an etch class because I wanted to be able to see the screen without much glare. And I must say, I am so happy with that. Having the extra storage is great too, so don't get me wrong on that. But that was the etch class was something that I really look forward to. And after using this system for as much as I have outside, inside, traveling, in my cozy little bed on my couch, while, you know, the wife and kids are using the TV, I can play this. I must say it was a decision I'm quite happy with. So the system, let's get in a little bit of the details, and everybody wants to know, how does it feel? It feels great in the hands. I have fairly average size hands, I guess, probably. I don't know. They're not that big. Could be a hand model, perhaps. I don't know. It feels good. I have a $20 Amazon grip on it, rubber grip, because I do find the system is kind of slippery without the grip. So thank you from Metal Jesus Rocks, who actually recommended this grip, and I picked it up for $20 Canadian, and it worked great. I love it. It's nice rubberized, has some nice texture. So the system itself feels good. It's light, it's big. The screen, the etch glass is great for anti-glare, but it is not an OLED screen. I think that's probably the biggest complaint for a majority of people. I, for one, can see fine on it. Maybe in, you know, Steam Deck 2, if they ever put one out, they'll have an OLED and a bigger screen. I would definitely appreciate that, get rid of the bezel, akin to what the Nintendo OLED did. All right, now, one of the things you should know is one of the things I bought this for was to play a lot of my back library of games. So I'll go into my library. For some reason, for a non-PC gamer, I've accumulated quite a few games in my life from Steam. Most of them from Humble Bundles and Steam sales. So I've got a lot of old games. So I started a series on my channel testing a lot of these old games and seeing if they work. So check out the playable series. Is it playable on my channel if you like? And there's tons of videos in there. So I've been going through my old library, and I said, I need to play these games. It's wasteful to have these games and not play them. Plus, Steam now has the ability, a lot of my old MMOs I play, like Star Wars, The Old Republic, Lord of the Rings Online, are all on Steam. So I'm like, hey man, I can play these games in bed, do dungeon runs in bed. This is going to be awesome, right? A little bit of work to get them set up, but you know, I am now running dungeons in Star Wars in bed, Final Fantasy, doing all those games I've always envisioned to do, because they're not on console. Final Fantasy is, but it's not on handheld. Now it is. Now it is. Through the power of this. So, as you can see, I've got a lot of old games, and I've been going through them and just having a fun time. Champions Online. I can remember going to PAX when this was in pre-release and falling in love with this game. It is playable on my Steam Deck. More than playable. There's a video up on my series. You have to do a little work for some of them that aren't verified, but like, you know, you go into your game details and you just check, right? Just check what's not playable about it and learn to live with that until, you know, the developers decide to update it. So like I said, I've got 14 hours of this game on this game on my Steam Deck. So I'm having a blast playing it. And this is a game that, to be honest with you, should be on consoles because it has native controller support built in. So yeah, so I bought this system for those games, my back library, MMOs, and then I've discovered tons and tons of indie games, and cheap indie games. Like, games on these systems, on PC in general, are cheaper than console, and you can get Steam sales, which it just, if you're watching this near November 2022, they just had a big autumn sale. I picked up tons of cheap indie games for that, and I'm going to play them, and I paid for them, I feel great. Now, the series I've not started yet is the Great On Deck, but as you can see, I've got quite a few games in the Great On Deck that I want to start trying and playing, so you'll see that come up the channel. But these are already verified on Steam because they got the green thing. So what I like is the unverified ones. Those are the games that is in my library, and I'm just going through and having a blast. So that's the power of the device as a handheld. It is amazing in my opinion. Now, I don't want to waste your time here and fluff on. My official recommendation is, now I have a friend of mine on YouTube. He has a channel and it's called the Evercade Effect. It's basically an Evercade fan channel. Like, I have a lot of Evercade content on my channel, but I'm mostly Evercade and handhelds. He just bought the Model 1, the 64 gigabyte. And most people say, why would you buy the Model 1? It's gimped. It is not at all. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. Unless you want the latest and greatest tech like NVMe drives and you need all that storage, the 64 gig model is the one I would recommend. Why? Because I have an SD card in here on my system that's actually full of games. That's where I install majority of my games. So go into my where's it at? Under my settings, and you can go down to your memory, and where's it at? Storage. So this is everything installed on there. So I have a 1 gigabyte SD card that I picked up for $189, and the prices are going down, storage limits are going up. I have majority of my games installed on the micro SD card. So I highly recommend, you know, if you don't need a head screen, you don't need the latest SSD, get the 64 gig model. It's $399 US. And you can get an SD card, whatever size you want, and you've got your Steam Deck. Me, I wanted the edge screen, and I like the techie stuff, so I went with the big model. But I can't recommend that for everyone, especially because of the flexibility of the 64 gig model. SD cards are going down in price, and especially if you're buying it purely for an indie device, you can fit tons of games on that storage on an SD card. So for me, I highly recommend this device for handheld gaming, and that's when I play it mostly, majority of time. Now, I did mention the fact that I thought I'd maybe hook up a keyboard and mouse to this and play it docked. I have a dock for it. I've tried it, but I find most of the games I'm playing aren't really Steam verified and don't have controller, Xbox 360 or Xbox One X or PlayStation 5 controller support out of the box. So I find I enjoy them much more handheld. So I have a dock. You know what I use my dock for? Charging. That's basically it. So for again, as a handheld device, it is freaking amazing. If I had to score it out of 10, it's a 9.5 for me. I think the only complaint, legitimate complaint, it's not even really a complaint, is the fact when I'm doing some dungeon running in Final Fantasy, the little bad boy gets heated up. There's a lot of heat coming out of these vents. A lot of heat coming out of this vent, which is, you know, not a major concern, but she does run hot. She definitely runs hot. Also, if you're like, you know, you look at the screen, there's some light bleeds in the corner. I mean, it doesn't really bother me at all, to be honest with you. Otherwise, it is an amazing system. And I think I'm going to play a little bit of Lord of the Rings now. I'm just going to play it. Oh, it's just had a new update, but, you know, You can tell I've been playing this game a long time. I love this game, but just that update, I don't really feel like updating it. I might do some Final Fantasy, but the fact that I can snack on any one of the games in my buffet right now across, you know, indie, MMOs, action RPGs, it's sports games, whatever I want, it's all here, and majority of it is really good and playable on the Steam Deck. So that's my review. If you're into handheld gamings, if you don't really want to get into PC, you know, traditional PC gaming, you can get into it with this device. And yeah, this ain't paid, this ain't sponsored. I'm just a lowly YouTube channel, and I appreciate you just hanging out and clicking on that thumbnail. And if you feel like subscribing, thank you. If not, get in the comments and we'll chat it up. Let me know what you think. Will you buy one? How are you getting one? Do you have one? Do you agree or disagree? It's all good. Bye, everyone.